All right, let's just jump right into it. Today's explainer is a deep dive into the incredibly chilling 2009 disappearance of a security guard named Marcus Hale. We're looking at one of those stories that perfectly blurs the line between documented, cold hard facts and a terrifying, unsolved mystery, all set inside one of the absolute most infamous buildings in America.
Picture this. It's 2009, and a security company gets a contract for overnight monitoring at Waverly Hills Sanatorium. The gig was supposed to be completely straightforward. One guard, 12 hours, just walking the floors on a set schedule. Now, the first guard they sent, he lasted exactly 3 nights. The second guy lasted 1. But Marcus Hale? Marcus made it 11 weeks. And officially, his company's security log showed absolutely nothing unusual during that entire run. But Marcus actually kept a personal log in a little green notebook tucked into his shirt pocket. And when he vanished, that notebook was left behind, telling a terrifyingly different story. Before we really unpack the meat of this mystery together, I want you to hear the very last thing Marcus ever wrote. He wrote, "She was in the security booth tonight when I arrived, sitting in my chair, facing away from me. I didn't go in." It's so abrupt, it's haunting, and it really sets the tone for the deeply unsettling sequence of events we're about to explore.
Section 1, a cold, dark history. So to really understand what's happening in Marcus's notebook, we've got to talk about Waverly Hills itself in Louisville, Kentucky. This massive, imposing Gothic structure opened in 1910, specifically as a tuberculosis sanatorium. Back then, TB was absolutely ravaging America, literally killing 1 in every 7 people. Waverly Hills housed the absolute worst cases in the region. After antibiotics finally got TB under control, they repurposed the place in the late 50s as a geriatric facility. But unfortunately, it was plagued by reports of abuse and neglect before finally shutting its doors in 1981 and just sitting abandoned for decades. So by the time Marcus shows up for work in 2009, it's already widely known as one of the most haunted places in the country. To put the immense, dark weight of this location into perspective, 63,000. Historians estimate that between its opening and its closure in 1961, up to 63,000 people died within those walls. The record-keeping was, well, kind of sketchy at best, largely due to a highly secretive method they used to transport the deceased.
And that sketchy record-keeping is directly tied to the property's most infamous architectural feature, the body chute. It's literally exactly what it sounds like, a 500-foot sloped underground tunnel built straight into the hillside. They used it to secretly ferry the dead away on a motorized rail cart, specifically so the living patients wouldn't have to watch bodies being carried past their windows every single day. Out of sight, out of mind, right? This documented reality hangs heavy over everything that happens next.
Okay, moving on to the diverging logs. Now you have to understand, Marcus was a methodical, rational guy. He had 11 years of security experience, he was hired to walk these decaying floors totally alone, and he was absolutely not a believer in ghosts. I love his initial skepticism. In his very first entry in early October, he writes, "First night, building is large, cold, and falling apart. Heard some sounds in the upper floors, wind through broken windows. Nothing here but concrete and bad history. This is just a job." He is so grounded, observant, and completely logical about the whole thing. But week 2 is where we get this fascinating tale of 2 logs. He starts noticing these really subtle anomalies. He reports a strange smell on the 5th floor, and his supervisor basically brushes it off, saying it's just old leaking cleaning products. But in his private green notebook, Marcus writes, "That's not what that smell is. I know what old cleaning products smell like. This smells like something is being cleaned right now, fresh, active." He's trusting his gut, writing down the weird stuff privately because it just doesn't fit into the neat little official company log. Then on night 9, things get physical. Marcus notes that all the doors on the 2nd floor naturally swing wide open because the heavy wooden hinges are totally warped. But during his 2 a.m. patrol, the door to room 212 is completely shut. He opens it, finds an empty room with a rusted bed frame, and specifically leaves the door open. But when he circles back on his 4 a.m. patrol, room 212 is closed again. He didn't close it, and something continues to close it between his patrols every single night for 11 weeks straight. It's a physically impossible detail that completely shatters his logical routine.
Which brings us to week 3, and the woman in lit? On October 22nd at 1:17 a.m., the subtle stuff becomes a direct visual threat. He finally sees someone. He calls out, following standard security procedure, but gets absolutely no response. And when he moves toward her, she just vanishes. You can feel his clinical frustration reading the notebook. He writes, "I've worked security for 11 years. People hide when they don't want to be found. She didn't hide. She was there, and then she wasn't. I don't have an explanation for that." And this wasn't a one-off. It becomes this repeating, terrifyingly escalating pattern. Over the next few weeks, Marcus sees her 7 more times. It's always the 3rd floor, north corridor. Always just past 1 a.m. She's wearing a white hospital gown, and this part is so creepy. Her head is tilted to one side, like her neck is broken. But the absolute worst part, every single time he sees her, she's standing physically closer to him than the time before. Eventually, we reach the breaking point. The final time he sees her, she's finally close enough for him to see her face, and he completely stops giving his usual clinical descriptions. He just writes, "I know now why the first 2 guards didn't come back. If I had seen her face on night 1, I wouldn't have come back either." The fact that he entirely leaves out the details of her face just leaves the true horror up to our imagination. It's a huge emotional shift for him. Okay, week 7, down to the body tube. So by week 7, his normally neat handwriting goes completely off the rails. Now, he was never required to actually enter the body chute. Those heavy steel doors were locked up tight. But one night, he hears noises coming from deep inside the tunnel. He says it's rhythmic and slow, like something heavy being dragged across the brick, pausing and dragging again, over and over. And it's getting closer. He literally just stands there, frozen at the sealed door, checking his watch, for exactly 23 minutes. The sound finally drags its way right up to the other side of the heavy steel door and stops. And I really gotta ask you, what do you think was breathing behind that door? Marcus wrote that he could hear it plain as day, slow, wet, quote, like someone whose lungs weren't working right. The whole auditory experience completely paralyzed him. He refused to open the door, and honestly, as he wrote himself, he wasn't ashamed of that at all. But it's what he found when he circled back at 6 a.m. for his final sweep that gives me absolute chills. Right there on the floor, directly in front of the tunnel door, was a single handprint in the overnight condensation. Palm down, fingers pointing right toward him. Small, child-sized. He snapped a picture on his phone, but by the time the morning shift actually arrived to relieve him, the print had completely evaporated. And that leads us to the final entry. By mid-December, Marcus's psychological state is visibly unraveling. He writes that he's barely sleeping, he's obsessing over the building during the day, and he's even leaving all the lights on in his apartment, noting that the dark simply feels different now, like it's occupied. And then we hit it, the horrifying, undated final entry. 4 brief sentences marking the abrupt end of the entire notebook. "She was in the security booth tonight when I arrived, sitting in my chair, facing away from me. I didn't go in." After that, the pages are completely blank. So what happened next? When Marcus didn't show up for his shift, his supervisor tried calling. Nothing. They sent someone over to his apartment, and these are the stark, documented facts of the scene. His car was parked right outside. The apartment door was wide open, totally unlocked. His wallet, his phone, and his keys were all just sitting inside. But Marcus Hale? He'd vanished into thin air. To this day, he has never been found. Now, as we wrap up this explainer, let's just ground ourselves in reality for a second. It is so easy to brush off ghost stories. But remember what we're actually looking at here? The green notebook found in that security booth is a real physical artifact. His disappearance, leaving his entire life behind, is completely documented by authorities. And Waverly Hills Sanatorium is a very real, very imposing place. Everything in between, what actually happened in the pitch black solitude of that building at 3 a.m., well, you've got to decide that for yourself. Today, thousands of people still tour those decaying halls on weekend trips. And if you ever find yourself there wanting to test your own nerve, the guides will gladly point you right to room 212 on the 3rd floor. They'll tell you with this practiced little smile that the door just has a habit of closing on its own. So, I'll leave you with this. If you ever find yourself standing in front of it in the dark, are you going to open that door? All right.